Wilson was born 19 in the 1930s. He was born 1933. He grew up during the racial times. He was a comedian and an actor. He did a lot of skits. He was he was an African American man. He did a lot of skits. He did the Flip Wilson show in the 1970s. From 1970 to 1974, he did the Flip Wilson show, and that was a very entertaining show. It used to air on TV Land a couple years ago, back in 2003, 2004. TV Land used to air episodes of that show, and it's a very entertaining show. I think you can watch it on YouTube. They have a couple of episodes you can watch, but I remember watching it and I liked it. The show was very weird, awkward, kind of like, because he did a lot of weird stuff. And I thought it was kind of like degrading, because you see a black man dressing up in women's clothes and drag, and he was in a drag. There were scenes where he would pretend to be a woman, and I thought it was kind of weird. And this actually is an inspiration from the other future shows. You got Martin Lawrence dressed up in drags, Nick Cannon on the Nickelodeon show dressed up in drags, Kenan Thompson has dressed up in drags. Even in the 1997 movie Good Burger, Kenan and Kel, they both dressed up in drags. I just hate this. I hate to see black men in drags. I think it's degrading. It dehumanizes black men. It makes us look like we're weak, and that's what the white society wants black people to think. That we're weak and we're like women. But I always feel a little uncomfortable seeing a black man in a drag. All over the generations, over the couple decades, there's always black men in drags. But Flip Wilson show was very entertaining, very good. He invited a lot of celebrities at the time, 1970s. A lot of African American stars, other ethnic people would come on the show, and he did a lot of amazing skits. I think the show was canceled. I think he wanted to move on, maybe because of low ratings. I don't know, but the show only lasted 4 years, 4 seasons, and that they canceled. He had a catchphrase, Flip Wilson, "The devil made me do it." Besides having a very successful career, growing up during racial times and going through all that, but in 1981, he was arrested at the international airport, coming back from Miami. The FBI found drugs on him, cocaine, and some other illegal drugs on him at the time. He had gotten into a fight, and he was arrested. His bond was over $2,000. He did, well, like I said, he was famous, so he did a lot of drugs, alcohol, going to parties, that life. When you're a celebrity, and Hollywood has a lot of, it's not like, it's a very different world, Hollywood life. They're exposed to a lot of sex, drugs, alcohol, so he was living that life. He was arrested. His son was also arrested too, for stealing jewelry. So he has a history of, his family has a history of violence and theft. But I bet Flip Wilson changed the whole world. If it wasn't for Flip Wilson, we wouldn't have Martin Lawrence. We wouldn't have Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle's show was also very successful. We wouldn't have all these other great African American artists if it wasn't for Flip Wilson. So the devil made me do it. That was his catchphrase. There was a little boy who said, "The devil made me do it." But it was a good show. Flip Wilson was a good guy. He died in 1998. He's been dead for 1998. That's over 2 decades. So he's been dead for 21, 22 years now. So he's been, he died of cancer. He had cancer. I think lung cancer. He developed that in his 60s, and he died at a young age, 64. He wasn't that old. Mr. J here, peace.